Good evening, gentlemen. Brampton's hospitals have got some issues. Brampton Hospital has less than one bed per 100,000 of population. This is less than half the province's average of 2.3 beds per 100,000. Brampton actually is one of the most underbedded city in Ontario. How would you fix this issue?
It's Mr. Gosel. If you want to respond, you're next now.
Oh, thank you. Brampton, first of all, needs 2 fully working hospitals. And I can tell you, Mayor Linda Jaffrey in 2006 promised that Peel Memorial Hospital will never close, it will be fully working hospital. So that was a promise not kept. Then I will work with the provincial government to make sure that Brampton Civic has all the staff. It's understaffed right now. We need full funding, and I will go after the provincial government again, talk to them to bring Peel Memorial Hospital as a fully working hospital. We need 2 fully working hospitals in Brampton, and I will be champion of Brampton going to provincial government to get the funding done.
Thank you. And it is Mr. Amir Sultan. You have 90 seconds.
The healthcare facilities are very less here in Brampton. Brampton is a highly populated city and it is expected to rise even further. The total population of Brampton is close to 600,000. We must create ways to sustain the population by bringing more advanced healthcare facilities for Brampton and reducing waiting time. More healthcare professionals. And if possible, we need to push for a 3rd Brampton hospital, which should be located near Castlemore or nearby streets and Winston Churchill. That only we can solve this issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mahesh.
Okay, I'll get back to the crux of the problem, right? What we are saying is that we don't have enough beds, and I've experienced this because I had to go to Brampton Civic and I was supposed to be quarantined for 3 days, but I was there for 8 hours on the hallway, and then I found a bed out there. I just tried to lie down on it, like, and this is I can lie down. I'm like, okay, no, it's fine. I can't do anything. I have to lie down somewhere. So I experienced it firsthand. If we try to do what we are trying to do here is that we're trying to build, okay, we've got one big hospital, we've got another big hospital. Do you know how much time it takes to build another big hospital? What we need to do is that look at options and work with the province on building multiple smaller hospitals so that we can at least address the concerns right now, immediately, and then look at how we can scale up into further much bigger bigger hospitals. So rather than, as to address your question, rather than trying to look at one big gigantic hospital, let's try to find multiple smaller hospitals across the city so that it can address the real needs.
Thank you. Mr. Scordier, you've got 90 seconds.
Thank you. Brampton's been neglected far too long. We should have had another hospital many, many years ago. We were hoping Linda Jeffrey would have brought us another hospital coming from the province. The province has been neglecting the city of Brampton and its people. What would I do to force the province to bring another hospital? It's the province who builds the hospitals. I would stop issuing building permits for no more houses until the province agrees to give us another hospital quickly. Now, the developers would get after the province because they fund the developers, the province big time. They give lots of money. And when they stop, they can't build no more houses, the province, I believe, will act and give us another hospital quickly, and then we can reassume the building permits. That's a tool we have, and that's a tool I would use if I do become the mayor.
Mr. Brown, 90 seconds.
Remember the name Jamie Lee Ball? She sat for 5 days in a merge at Brampton Civic. She wrote the mayor's office again and again and again to advocate. But crickets. We brought it up in the legislature and we grilled the government on it. So the health minister comes to Brampton and has a big announcement. He's going to build 6 new beds. Our mayor thanks him for his leadership. You gotta be joking. I would have kicked him out of town. What do you think Hazel would have done if they came to Mississauga? What do you think Hazel McCallan would have done? She would have stood up for her community. It's not about pleasing people, it's about standing up for Brampton. And when David Kapil says that we have half the beds that we're supposed to, I'm sorry, I would go to the Prime Minister and the Premier and say this. Everyone says there's no two-tier healthcare in Canada. Well, you compare the experience in Oakville or Georgetown and the experience in Brampton. It is not right because we're all paying the same provincial and federal taxes, but our services are worse. And so enough playing nice. It's about time we did what Hazel did in Mississauga and stand up to other levels of government and say we demand better. And I will do that
And Mr. Jackson.
Are we all familiar with the expression house poor? Does everyone know what that means? That's when you went to your mortgage broker and they said you could afford $200,000 if you only eat Kraft dinner and tuna. And you're like, that's a fantastic idea. I will spend every penny I have to buy this house. The largest landowner in Brampton is the city of Brampton. The city of Brampton owns more land than the next top 5 landowners combined. We have the money to build the rest of phase 2 of Peel Memorial. We have the money to set aside land and start pouring foundations for a 3rd hospital. Do we have the political will to bite the bullet and spend the money? I have that political will to bite the bullet and spend that money. It's time that we show the other levels of government, not only that we can get riled up and not only that we can get angry, because we've been angry, we've been riled up, we've demanded. We have to show the province that we have the funds to fund our contribution. We have the funds. It's locked up in $1.6 billion worth of land that the city is holding on to, with absolutely no plans to do anything with the land. We need to unlock the money and spend it on our hospital needs and on Riverwalk. And once we build the Riverwalk, we can develop downtown, start building up that commercial assessment that everybody's talking about, and we can actually fund the operations of the hospital with our now increased tax assessment. That's how you tackle it, with a business solution, not with shouts and jeers and standing up and invoking Hazel McCallan. With all due respect to the numerous invocations.
Thanks, Mr. Jackson. Thank you. I'll let any of the candidates, if anyone wants to follow up, there's 30 seconds for follow-up if anyone wants to. Mr. Sprovieri.
The city is the people. You are the people, and these lands are parklands. That's all the city uses lands for, is parklands. We have valley lands that cannot be touched, and we have parklands. The kids play, the people go there for walks, and they're not to be used for building a hospital, selling and building a hospital. So hospitals are a provincial responsibility. We must force the province to treat Brampton equally, and the only way to do that is to stop development until we get that treatment.
Thank you. Mr. Jackson, you've got 30 seconds.
If I may, with all due respect, Councillor Sprovieri, if the City of Brampton's financial statement shows that the City of Brampton has $1.6 billion worth of land, and you're telling me that the auditors are allowing you to write zero value hazard parklands as lands worth $1.6 billion, you need to fire the entire accounting department and every auditor every hire. It's just not true. You go right now to 8 Rutherford Road South and look at the acre and a half of land behind the fire station that the city owns that is used for geese grazing, and tell me that that is valid.
Mr. Jackson, thank you. Okay, Mr. Brown, you've got 30 seconds.
No one told other communities like Oakville they had to sell the parkland to get a proper hospital. The question was, how can we accept having half the beds that other communities have? And I'm sorry to say that we've demanded and we've spoken loudly. We thank them every time they come to town and given us peanuts. When we get $400 million on transit and Scarborough gets $3 billion, we say this is great. When we get a satellite university with 2,000 students and Markham gets 10,000 students, we don't say anything. So I'm sorry, we have not stood up as a community.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Mr. Manisha, you have 30 seconds, Mr. Manisha. And remember, the question was that Brampton has less than half the number of hospital beds per capita than the provincial average. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, so everybody's suggesting solutions, somebody's saying, let's get angry, let's sell land. But you know what? Actually, if you look at the budget, there is enough money that we can actually cut down some of those consultants whom we pay, cut down some of the extra money which we are paying around on all this unnecessary stuff, and we can build our own hospitals, right? We don't have to worry about that, we have to fight against the province and, go after and sell off our lots of land out there. And again, just to answer, fighting against...
Thank you, Mr. Maheshan.